Your motto is believe it's possible. Where the heck did that come from?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think it came from a moment, a decision in life where I had to back myself, and I had to believe it was possible. And basically, I I'd gone to university. It didn't work out. I dropped out. I'd gone on a ski season. I'd taken a gap year. I'd done the thing where you go to Australia and you go up the East Coast, and it was awesome. Then to the behest of my parents, I'd gone and applied to university, and I'd done it. I'd completed the first year, and I'd got good grades. It was all going amazingly. And then I decided to go to a summer camp in America. And coming from England, that's like the classic kind of like, I don't know, American Pie was out at the time. It's that kind of feeling. And you just go, and it was beyond my wildest dreams. I was free in America in the mountains of Pennsylvania as a mountain bike instructor. And I think even then, I just didn't realize the scale and the size of what traveling in America was like. And it was just right in front of me. So I went for it. And I took a year out again. So second year out, told my parents, hey, not coming back. Going to stay in America, going to go do some snowboarding. It's going to be fine, going to be awesome. Like, this is what I want to do in my life. Then a year later, I came back to England thinking I would go into the second year of this psychology degree that I was doing, because I was always interested in people, human behavior, like why people do what they do. Like, that was always like something that I was drawn to, the passion, the human side of it, the connection. And so I went back to university. It was in Newcastle. So it was Northumbria University. Absolutely freezing, but I loved it. The people up there are so much fun. And it was a great, great experience. But unfortunately, in me taking a year out, I was kind of coming back to a situation I didn't recognize. I knew none of the people in my year. The university had changed. Everyone had moved into different houses. And I wasn't really knowing who I was going to live with or what was going to go on. And I had changed, right? I'd been flying in and out of London to New York multiple times this last year. So I'd expanded my life and kind of realized that I needed to be in London. And so the bright lights of London were calling. And I figured this all out in about the first week of that university degree, starting in the second year. I'd signed up to a new house, so I had a new tenancy agreement, had all my stuff with me, and I decided, like literally like 2 days in, this isn't going to work. I need to be in London. The challenge was, in order to have any chance of being in a London university, I needed to first withdraw completely from this Northumbria University. So it was a massive gamble, because what I'd done, I was saying, right, I want to go to Goldsmith University, University of London, great, like London University. This is a creative university. It's got a great psychology course, knowing that it had probably, you have to get like 3 A's to go there, and it's oversubscribed, and it starts in 2 days, and they don't know me from Adam. And I haven't even studied for like the last year. So I haven't got any application. You're supposed to go through this system in the UK called UCAS, and you're supposed to do it like a year in advance, and it's all logged. And so anyway, decided in my mind that this was what I was going to do. And, life in Newcastle was done. I needed to be in London. And so started off, right, hi, landlord. I know I've just literally moved in, but I'm off to London. So I'm going to need to renegotiate this contract, get out of it, get you a new tenant, and get this back on the market. So I did that. That was an easy negotiation. That was kind of like stage one, because you're fueled up. That's like nothing compared to negotiating a way into a university where they don't even know you. Then what I did was pack all my stuff up, rented a car, and while I was getting all this together and packing all my stuff, I was calling Goldsmiths. And this was the first introduction to the believe it is possible motto that I had, because the receptionists at the psychology department, they were almost like the gatekeepers. And so at first they were like, hey, sorry, really, really sorry, but like, this course is oversubscribed by a lot of people. We don't have space for you. Plus, you're not in our system. Plus, you're not in the British university system. Plus, like, there's just none of the pieces we need to make this happen. And this was the key. I was like, okay, cool. I totally hear you. But what would I need? Let's just say hypothetically, what would I need to make this happen if I was to show up in 2 days? And just that one question got them imagining a new future. And it got them a bit more bought into my story. And they were like, cool, okay, we need all your exam certificates. We need a reference letter from your tutor. We need you to resign from this current course that you're on. We need to know that we can take you. Like, it went on and on and on. It was a lot of documentation, none of which I had, because I'd just come back from like living in America and living the dream. And literally, as I was driving down the motorway, I kept in touch with the college, with the university, Goldsmiths, and these receptionists, these gatekeepers, keeping them. Hey guys, I'm coming. I've done it. I've moved out of my apartment now. I've got it rented out to someone else. I'm coming. It's Goldsmiths or nothing. So they started to become invested in the journey as I was investing in them, and I was investing in their imagination. Right, I was feeding it, and suddenly they were like, "How can we make it happen for this guy?" And they were like, "Well, you would need to speak to this person." And then I get on the phone and I call my old tutor and be like, explain this story. Like, I need you to write me an amazing reference letter. And there's a momentum to this. When you start believing it's possible, you start getting other people, you transfer that energy. They also start to believe it's possible. And they do things that if you don't have that energy or that kind of belief to start with as a foundation, they're not going to do it. But if you're like, hey, I'm on the M1, I'm driving down, I've got all my stuff here, I've just moved back from America, need to get into college, it starts in two days. Could I swing by in an hour? I'm literally driving by your house. I just need a reference letter signed by you. And then you literally start to collect. So I'm driving down the whole of England, because Newcastle's right at the top of England. Can't really get much further, all the way to London, which is a huge journey in and of itself, calling everybody all the way down, all the different stakeholders, and getting these gatekeepers basically to become advocates and fans, and then raving fans. So by the time I got to Goldsmiths College at 8 a.m. the next day, everybody, oh, and I suppose it didn't not help that I had bleach blonde dreadlocks right down to my arms here. So
from the experience in America for a couple years.
Yeah, I stood out. And they were like, who is this guy, Tim Castle, that's like trying to get into our course, and like, where's he come from? And so I rocked up as if I was going to start the course on the day in the auditorium. And they don't, I haven't got anything. I haven't got any of the criteria. I don't have anywhere to live. I have nothing. Walked into that auditorium, talked my way in, said, hey, it's Tim Castle. I'm here. I'm the guy. And then literally from there, just basically through believing it was possible, created what I wanted to happen, not in a way of desperation, definitely in a way of like, of burning the bridges, but not in this kind of desperate, needy way, in this way of almost like in flow, and just knowing that it was going to happen because it was this or nothing. And they could feel that.
Did you have to put together all the documentation, or were you able to overcome some of those things because they were so bought into this idea? Did they let any of the things go that you were supposed to? I'm assuming they did some.
Oh, 100%, because I didn't have any formal, like I was crafting an application without the actual without the formal process, which is UCAS, and I can't remember what that stands for now, but it's University Administrator. Like, there's a whole body that regulates all of this, and so I was not in the system. So I was making a makeshift system and saying, here's everything that you would have typically got, and can you add one more place to the course? Because I'm here. I'm not sure about those guys that were oversubscribed. I'm right here. I'm early. I'm early. Like,
isn't it funny that you walked into those courses, whatever courses you had to take to obtain the psychology degree or get into the system? But the funny thing is that when you walked into a classroom, and sometimes the classrooms have 30, sometimes it's a seminar and they have 200. But when you walked in, no one asked for your identification.
Oh no.
So we put up these barriers and these boundaries that they may not even exist.
Absolutely. If we let our mind control how what we think is possible, none of it will start. You can literally start to program it the other way. And they talk about this in child psychology to do with the shark music. And it's almost like you're walking down a path and you can see, imagining what's in front of you, but you can see this beautiful lake, and it's tranquil and it's sunset and it's beautiful. And there's some jazz music playing and everything's looking amazing. Or you can walk down that path and see this beautiful lake, but there's a shark music playing, and it's and everything changes. And that's the same thing in your head, right? It's the story that you're playing in your head that is then dictating the actions you're able to take because you don't have the belief, or you do have the belief, and then you start taking bigger, bolder actions.